The stories a stadium could tell. But
this is your Let the Goalie controversy begin. Leader Fan Radio Network.
But you know what?
And KFAN.com. Welcome to the Friday Football Beast on a calm before the heat NAMI Friday afternoon here in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. My name is Dan Barreiro, former Inkster and Wretch, newspaper of the Twin Cities. Guardsy produces the show. We are delighted to be with you this very afternoon, heading into a very, very busy weekend where I believe by Sunday, the projected high is 83 degrees. Is that right? Do I have that accurate?
Taking a look at Sunday, National Weather Service says 76. That's close.
I heard, there's a couple weather terrorists going with over 80. Now, I don't know if that's part of the bit or whether it might actually get there. Is it supposed to rain Sunday? Tomorrow's supposed to be all rain, correct?
Yes, Sunday a chance in the morning, then a chance before 4 o'clock, then a chance after 4 o'clock.
And then
a chance.
I'm assuming by Monday or Tuesday we're back to 42.
No, 75, but more rain.
Seriously?
Yeah.
More rain, of course. Of course, that's the way it would have to be. We'll give you more weather updates on the 8s, as we like to do here at KFAN in the afternoon. On the afternoon, I guess I should say Friday Football Beast, not to mention the afternoon Aardvark. We've got 3 outstanding guests for you today. How about the emotional return for the first time in a while of Double T? Trent Tucker is scheduled to join us at 5:30 tonight, just in time for the final regular season weekend for your favorite basketball team, the Timberwolves, as they prepare to take on likely the Denver Nuggets in the first round of the Western Conference playoffs. Double T 5:30. Lavelle moved to 3:30 today. We're giving Ben Gessling the week off, and we will also be joined by intrepid reporter Lou Ragoose via KARE 11. Lou Ragoose will join at 4:15 today as well. Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line has been rebooted. It's open at 64686. That's 64686. I'm assuming it already has begun, the goalie controversy among the hockey hardcores. Did the hockey hardcores see enough last night in Dallas, Texas, to already proclaim that the kid, Volstead, is required to be the Game 1 starter, likely now back in Dallas, Texas, first round Western Conference playoff series? Have they already proclaimed it?
I saw a lot of it. I don't know specifically which hockey insiders
who are we talking about?
You'd want to refer to or take stock in, but I saw a lot of it last night as that game was going along.
Very disappointing performance from a goalie who, over the course of the season, we talked about this with Russo yesterday. I think the 1-2 punch is, analytically speaking, statistically speaking, has been the best goalie tandem in the National Hockey League this year. Well, by definition, that means it can't just be the kid. It has to also be Gus Bus. But it was alarming last night. And it was a game that, what do we look for? And it's a cliche and it's overdone in hockey. We dominated on the ice, but we didn't dominate on the scoreboard, all that kind of good stuff. There's games we've talked about where you get dominated, but the goalie saves it for you. And then there are games where you do dominate. And the Wild clearly, as far as I'm concerned, did through much of that game. And the goalie allows the other team to steal it. That was theft last night. That was grand theft auto last night in Dallas, Texas. Any kind of what I would classify as, I would even say, serviceable goaltending. And the Wild win that game. I'm not going to say in a laugher, but I think maybe comfortably. Regardless, very disappointing outcome. We know it's a regular season game. We know that ultimately this team will be judged on what it does against Dallas in the postseason. But it was they played like they were serious about let's get the 2 points and see where this goes.
Played really well.
And to have it come out that way, they have all the fancy analytics about expected goals, because I guess they're analytics that evaluate the quality of the shots. And I think I read via Russo or somebody that Dallas ended up with like 3 more goals than they really, by all rights, should have.
Yes.
Based on the quality of the shots. Plus, I think, didn't they end up the game with like 9 shots on goal in 3 periods?
Not that many, yeah.
Exaggerating a little bit, but not so much.
You're thinking about the money puck number.
Is that what it is?
Gus Bus gave up minus 3.11 goals saved above expected on 20 shots. In other words, the Stars scored 5 goals despite having 1.89 expected. It's got to be deflating. But what's fascinating is, and this is where it gets complicated, it's almost a little bit like a starting pitcher, right? Who you have faith in and you want to start him in game 1. And the game before the postseason begins, he gets rocked. And maybe even in a few games before that, he's looked a little shaky. You have to decide. You have to react, not overreact. But on the other hand, you can't pretend, if all of the indications are that for whatever the reason, he's just not in a good phase. This is what's tricky about the Wild's precarious situation. You can't sacrifice anything. A, because you have no playoff pedigree. I think we've lost 9 consecutive series. And secondly, because the team you're playing is good. I think haven't the Stars made the Western Conference Finals 3 straight years? They've been good.
They're good. And so it's the old, you got to get it right. We talk about referees always, getting it right via replay. Wild have to get this right. Now, on the other hand, you say you take your best shot at it and you evaluate when you get to that moment. And and I know there's some coaches, managers, who ultimately make the decision on the analytics or some of the stats, but others on their gut. Where you go, I know what everything says that this guy just doesn't have it right now. But in my gut, I'm going with him. I got a feeling. And sometimes that feeling has merit. Sometimes it doesn't. I do think this should underscore what we've talked about the last several weeks. Louis brought it up about 2-3 weeks ago. The leash has to be short. If you decide to go ahead with Gus Bus on the basis of his pedigree and, that he's been there, your overall speaking, your number one guy, if that's what you're going to do in game 1 and he gets lit up, you can't wait, right? You can't be slow. The leash has to be very, very tight. I don't know what to tell you. I think my final proclamation won't come yet because there's a part of me that doesn't want to overreact to it as bad as it was. He looked shaky, I thought, throughout, didn't you? Or a lot of it.
Yeah. The third goal was the one that really bothered me, where it's right in front of him.
Yes.
He's just got to, kill it, get it out of there.
Yes.
Then he loses it. And it's just a guy that's not playing fast.
No.
It's just something's up. And I know there was the first goal, he was looking the wrong way for a minute.
Yes.
I get it. There's a lot going on. But It was just this general uneasiness, it felt like, that kind of culminated on that third goal.
Yeah, I'm not ready to write him off, frankly, the way some people are.
But
because there are people who are, but you have to talk about it. It's such an important position, obviously. And again, there's so much pressure riding this time on this team, giving itself the best chance to get out of round 1. And that's what you have to end up calculating. If you're the general manager and the head coach, what gives us the best chance to get there in what's going to be a challenging fight anyway? I think at this point, I guess you technically can't give up the ghost on catching them, but we can't tie with them. That's already been established. They've got the tiebreaker.
Right.
So they'd have to go into free fall. Do they have, we each have 2 games left? Is that what it is now? Was that? I thought that was our third to last game last night. Double check the numbers.
Yeah, I'll have to look at the schedules.
But, it's unlikely that we're going to catch them at this point, which means you're starting there. So you can look at it a lot of ways. You can look at it as like, okay, he's got pride and he will rebound. He will be determined to rebound from exactly that. And what surprised me a little bit, like I said, was listening to the people, to some of the hockey hardcores, making it sound like that it's over. It's over, Johnny. You have to start Wallstedt in game one, which I thought might be a little on the harsh side,
right.
But you have to pay attention to it. It's an important part of the story, and it was not an impressive outing.
Each team has 3 games remaining.
3 games,
and
remaining.
Really why it stands out is I know that the team made mistakes that led to some of the goals. And obviously,
that's always part of it.
Weren't playing perfect, but the team, I just was struck again last night by how good this team can be. I
agree.
Like how much skill they have, speed they have, grit they have, high enders that they have.
They were having the better end of it.
Hughesy's goal was ridiculous. Obviously, Kaprizov is who he is. There's so many big knockers on this team. What a shame it would be if it's goaltending that does them in, when it looks like every piece is kind of in place for a really nice run.
Let's get to, there's a number of texts coming in here, and several of them are coming to the defense of Gus Bus. They believe, did you watch the game last night?
Every second.
You sure?
Yeah.
Well, according to the texters, you couldn't have.
Oh, interesting.
According to the texters, even though I watched every minute of the game, I couldn't have either. So we'll get to some of those.
Well, to be fair, there was a few seconds when my ESPN Plus stream got a little glitchy, and I had to exit out and then go back and find it. But other than that, I will half pelt it there. I didn't watch every second, but I intended to.
My Hulu experience, because that's ultimately how I got to it, was via Hulu. And then it was, I got no idea what my password is. And then I figured, I think I've changed it 4 times since the last time I tried it. So that was a whole nother adventure, or misadventure as well. Lavelle at the bottom of the hour. Will there be any question that Lavelle will be celebrating, acting like the Minnesota Twins have already clinched the division after the sweep of the Detroit Tigers? I can only imagine how insufferable Lavelle Neal III will be. He's at 3.
You're listening to The Fan.
The Bradshaw and Bright KFAN text line. ESPN can't be taken seriously as a hockey network when they don't have a game between 2 NHL heavyweights on the main ESPN channel. Not a huge hockey mind here, but it always seems like the postseason hot topic comes down to which team has the hottest netminder. You got to believe the Wild are due for a hot hand this year, right? Guess I shouldn't get my hopes up too much for Minnesota sports catching fire in the postseason. Time to trade Gus while he still has trade value.
Wow. Well, we can't trade him now.
A friend of mine saw Gus Bus waiting at the Des Moines gate at Guardsy's place, MSP. Billy G isn't messing around.
It's a great place to hang out.
Hi, Dan. Duluth guy here. If you're not going to go with him, can you really go with him at all then? I mean, you're basically telling him we have no confidence in you no matter how good you've played all year. And then if you bring him back, I think it'll make things worse. It is part of the calculation. It has to be. On the other hand, you can't worry too much right now about hurt feelings. There's a balancing act that has to be a part of that discussion. You got to win, and you got to win now. While goaltending is like Vikings quarterback discussion can never be settled. Is it too late? Can we sign and activate Flower? How's that work?
Great question. I don't know.
Of course, if the danger of doing that is Billy G might start him in game 1.
Yeah, we've already been through that.
I
was thinking about that last night. It was Cam Talbot, right? Our other guy?
Yes, it was.
Whose wife is still mad about how that was all handled.
Well, and I think Garrett is still mad. I think I may have tried to second guess on that, and he was not pleased with any of that, as you recall.
And he had to trade him at the end of the day.
That's true.
Remember,
you're right.
They were going to bring him back, and it wasn't going to work out.
That's true.
So he had to trade him.
Settle down, right? 651 guy. It's one game. He'll start game 1. If he struggles, they'll make the change. It's a simple story, not a Wagnerian opera. Wallstedt is a guy that will steal a series for you. Gus Bus, safe play, but won't take you to the Western Conference finals. Dan, 2 items. Gus Bus folded in the Olympics just a couple of months ago. Cause for concern now. Make Lou Ragoose a weekly guy. That's Daryl from Bloomington. This is from 651 guy. Like usual, Dan, we can tell you didn't watch the game and are only looking at the numbers and Russo's reporting. Well, first of all, do I have to apologize if I am looking at Russo's reporting? 651 guy think Russo is watching the game? You think he just shows up and then reads a magazine and, gets online a little bit? But I digress. I'm not here to defend Gustafson, but if you really watch the game, you'd know 2 of the goals were deflections, which he had no chance on. The final goal from Robertson was through traffic, and Gus Bus had no chance to see it. Maybe watch the game next time before you give us your snarky opinions.
All right, so give him those 3. Wild scored. How many goals did we score?
Well, but then, so does that mean he doesn't believe in any of the analysis of the quality of the goals?
That's
don't they factor that in?
They should.
Here's another one. Did you watch the game, Dan? Pretty hard for a goalie to be goalieing when there's a sea of green sweaters in front of him. That's from 218 Steve guy. Wild were the better team and deserved to win. That's from K. Fallness via Clayton from Rochester.
They were the better team. That's why I joked about it on Enough Said tonight. It felt like a Wild playoff game.
The real Grand Theft Auto was the second Frozen Four game. Michigan absolutely dominated Denver, outshot them 52-27, and lost in double overtime. Can we blame that on Gus Bus?
I don't think
not.
So. I did. I'll Pelf again. I did flip over when the Wild went behind for a couple minutes because I wanted to see the overtime of Denver and Michigan. I was all about the hockey last night. I was in it. Yeah. State of hockey.
What network was that on?
That was on ESPN2, I think, or ESPN. It was on one of the big channels.
Well, how does that make sense that you wouldn't have the NHL game of the night on one of the main channels? Does that go back? Is that a contractual issue?
Yes, 100% it is. But here's my...
it's dumb then. It's a dumb contract. It's not a helpful contract to the league.
Here's what they should... There should be some type of out. And quite frankly... because Halby defended ESPN last night, going, look, they've got this on this channel, this on this channel, not sure where you're going to put all this stuff. But that's kind of the point.
Exactly.
Don't take more than you can have. So if you want to have the Frozen Four...
you're going to have a lot of pushback.
Yeah, if you want to have the Frozen Four, that's great.
Yes.
I think you should. But,
then
last night's game should be available on, whatever it is now, Bally.
Nobody is going to tell me that the numbers would be at all comparable on a main ESPN channel, even though it's the Frozen Four and an NHL regular season game against 2 good teams. Sorry. I know there's more at stake in the Frozen Four, but I'm
not
just
saying that.
I know you're not disagreeing. I'm just saying that's another reason. There's no comparison. The Frozen Four is a wonderful event, but that's a niche within a niche. You could say hockey is sort of a cultish in that regard, but this is a cult inside of a cult.
Where it's frustrating is if you're going to have the Frozen Four, which again, that's something you have and you should.
Yes.
But then, because you can't predict that game 79 between the Stars and the Wild is going to be as big as it's going to be, especially here.
Right.
Because honestly, we're talking about here in Dallas where people are really locked into the game, right?
Well, yeah, in Dallas they're probably bored with it because they've made cup runs for the last several seasons.
But then that's the point is you can't just take it if you don't really have a place for it. If it does end up being a mythic game, at least on paper.
Todd writes, I wanted to watch the game last night, settled into the Barca, only to find out that I didn't have the required streaming service. I seemingly have all the other ones except for Hulu. Very disappointing. Hughes Cooks, Dirty Looks, a series for the books, Wild and 5. That's from Cody. Need a wellness check on Blakemore. Is he a big Gus Bus guy? I don't even remember.
I don't know. He's a huge Wild fan. So.
Common wrecked your microphone. Sounds like you're talking in a bucket. Does my microphone sound weird?
Not to my ears.
Well, what I wanted to try to do today was do part of the show standing up, but I don't think the way this mic is configured and the way the arm is set up,
I don't think it'll get there.
No, unfortunately.
I don't think you'll get there.
Because that's supposed to be the healthy thing, isn't it?
Yeah, moving around's never hurt.
I guess it never hurts. Speaking of hockey, I know how you like to tease Gopher fans. How about mentioning the Badger men's team making it to the championship game in the Frozen Four? Signed UMD Bulldogs hockey fan. Love the show.
Yeah, your guy Mike Hastings. Big upset over North Dakota in game 1.
Brant, wild goalie problem is that they're going to start the wrong guy. Gus isn't going to steal the series, and his benching in the Olympics was not a good sign that he will perform in the playoffs. Well,
we had a good run. It was fun.
Well, actually, I'm going back to the Common Show. There is a slight reverb over the radio, like a mic in front of a speaker slightly. Let us know if there's anything acoustically that we need to do. I don't know. I mean, I think it's normal. Did somebody spill their coffee on the mic?
I mean, I rule nothing out in that studio.
Well, that's
quite
true.
frankly.
Yeah,
I rule nothing out.
Yeah, that's very, very true, Davey. All right, so reminder, no Ben Gessling today. The uglydeck.com guest lineup includes Trent Tucker at 5:30 tonight. And when we come back, we will check in with Chief Twins apologist Lavelle Neal III. Will he be, how insufferable will he be after the team's 4-game sweep of the heavily favored, if there is such a thing in baseball, Detroit Tigers? We will find out next. And we've got a major soccer scandal to discuss with Lavelle as well. Don't go away. Scott from Green Bay via Eden Prairie. I was in San Antonio, Davie, last night. Went to 3 local sports bars and then even Yard House, and no one could get the game on. Ended up in my room watching it on my phone.
Oh, that hurts.
That's devastating, is it not?
Imagine watching hockey on the Riverwalk somewhere.
Yeah, that would have been that's a great.
That's idyllic.
Streaming issues. I have not heard you talk about the Super Box. We paid $350 for the Super Box off of Amazon Prime. We get every sporting event and don't need to have a monthly subscription to Hulu, Live, etc. It's a game changer. Is this legal? What's the Super Box?
Never heard of it. Never needed it, never heard of it.
It sounds shaky to me. It sounds like
it's on Amazon Prime if you can get it.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Gus Bus is the Kirk Cousins of the NHL.
Jeez.
Cannot win the big games. Lavelle Neal III joins now via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. Lavelle, do you have the Super Box in your home to, I guess, legally pirate all sporting events, all services? Because I guess it's something out there that you can get for $350 to solve all of our streaming issues.
Well, there's also another service called Uzu, which is UZZU, that for $130 a year, you can get all the sporting events and all the channels and Fubo and Hulu and all that stuff. And it also includes some news channels and some other cable channels.
Well, how does that work?
I don't know. I think it's streaming, so I think it's actually like 8 seconds behind time or something like that.
Right.
I think. So that stuff's out there, man. I think about this every year when I do my taxes, because when I meet the tax guy, I got to sit here and look. Okay, I've got Netflix. Okay, I've got Paramount Plus. Okay, I've got Amazon Prime. Okay, I've got Apple Plus. I'm like, God, I subscribe to all this stuff in addition to my Xfinity account, which continues to rise, because when you bundle, ladies and gentlemen, you don't know what's going up. You don't know if the satellite's going up or the phone or the internet. All of a sudden, your bill is going up every 6 months because of something. So I think about just pulling the plug every now and then, but then I won't have tax write-off, so I kind of just sell it back to my current existence.
Well, I'm hearing a lot of people are texting saying that the Super Box is definitely illegal, but that a lot of people go for it because they figure, okay.
How's Amazon selling it then if it's illegal?
Well, I don't know I don't know if literally he was telling the truth that it was available on Amazon Prime. Get into your Amazon Prime account, Guardsy. See if you can just put in the words Super Box and see if indeed this miracle cure to all of our streaming issues, especially from a sports standpoint, will be taken care of just like that with a snap of the fingers. Meanwhile, where do you want to begin? I assume you want to begin with your red-hot baseball team that took 4 straight from the Detroit Tigers. You want to start there?
We can if you want. It's your show. I'm just a visitor.
I'll let you start there as long as you promise me that you're not going to pretend that it means anything yet.
Oh, that won't be a problem.
Okay, just want to be sure. That's my shot across the bow before you go too far down the road of, well, you know what? All these naysayers, maybe they need to start showing up because they don't have to do anything. They're not obligated to do anything on the basis of a nice homestand that included 4 straight victories against the Detroit Tigers.
By the way, I just went on my Amazon app while we're talking. I know that's dangerous when I've got the phone on. I'm actually touching the phone because usually bad things happen. Yeah. There's hits for Superbox here.
You get it at Walmart,
I don't know if it's the Superbox or a Superbox.
Where can you get it, Guardsy?
Walmart.
Walmart carries it?
Yeah, $300 here, $3.99 somewhere else. Yeah.
I think $279 on Amazon. If this is the right one, this is MG5 Plus streaming box.
Somebody's saying that the box ain't illegal, but the app they use to stream content is. Whatever that means.
The original Superbox remote control for sale on Amazon.
What one did you mention, Lavelle? Uzu?
What? Uzu. U-Z-Z-U.
Well, I'm being told by our listeners that that's black market stuff straight out of Putin's Russia. You want to mess with that?
I know people who have Uzu, and they love it.
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean, I haven't dug that deep into it to determine if it's going to take over my TV and brainwash me, yet. But it's out there, and there are people in this town because I ran into a couple last week who have it, and they swear by it.
All right, I'll take your word for it. All right, so what did we learn, if anything, about the Twins through the 4-game sweep of the Tigers?
Well, I think that everything I saw in spring training has come true. The starting rotation is the best part of the team. Todd Bradley stepping up has helped, and Mick Abel was encouraging yesterday with his outing after Pete Mackey jumped on him after the second inning about being more competitive, and he responded. Simeon Woods Richardson and Bailey Ober are getting by right now, throwing slop up there. They are. It's working out. I'm still worried about the defense. I'm still worried about some members of the everyday lineup. And look what Shelton's got to do with the Twins bullpen, Dan. 5 different starters have a save. I mean, relievers have a save. 5 already, and we're just through 13 games. So there's no clear closer. And they've got flaws everywhere. But when you have decent starting pitching, you can cover up some of that stuff. And last time through the rotation, the Twin Stars have a 1.82 ERA. So that's what's going on with the team right now. Just want to temper some people's enthusiasm. They are over 500 for the first time since June 16th of last year. But last year also they had a 13-game winning streak.
You were talking about that yesterday. Yeah, exactly.
And we saw how the season turned out. So. Yeah. No, I'm not going to sit here and say happy days are here again because we may be reading the same book that we read last year with this team. So let's let it play out. They caught the Tigers at a low right now. The Tigers and the Mariners actually are tied for the worst record in baseball. They're in Toronto this weekend. It's a good team. The Red Sox are on a shabby team. They got them early next week back here. So let's just see how this plays out and who steps up and who doesn't.
Will you do me one favor with ownership in the next week or two? Maybe when they come back for the next homestand? Will you get Tom Pohlad to commit on the record that if indeed the Twins continue to underachieve for the next several months, that this team will actually attempt to add at the trade deadline in a meaningful way, rewarding said team for its overachieving?
It's funny you brought that up. I had a conversation with a member of a high-ranking official with the club. It wasn't Tom Pohlad, but it was someone else. And they were like, of course, they're a little more optimistic, but they also thought that Cole Chance is going to be the closer. He's clearly not the full-time closer here. But there is some there is some talk over there about where if they're in a decent spot in by July 1st to add. So I know they talked about it amongst themselves. I don't know if they'll commit to it on the record, but I talked to someone who sits in the same room with Tom Polak, and who said that those talks have definitely taken place. It is way too early. This is holy sample size, Batman. 3 weeks into the season is really too early to start dreaming that big. Let's see how they get through April and May. Let's see what June looks like, man. Let's see what happens when they have to respond to injuries. What if Brooks Lee doesn't hit? What if Matt Wallner, who's on pace to strike out, I believe 120? Let's see, he's twice a game, so 320 times. He's got 26 strikeouts in 13 games.
No.
That's 2 a game. Can he get it going? I think his OPS is like 500 or something like that. They got some other guys that aren't hitting. This team, there's plenty of areas where they could make this team come back down to the sub 500 team that a lot of people think it's going to be. So it's not time to start plotting the victory parade, closing schools, and commissioning someone to make a commemorative print. All right, just let this play out.
Yeah, it's not even April 15th yet, is it? I mean, we're not even halfway through April, for God's sake. Let alone, wasn't the old Tom Kelly line? I don't even bother to look at the standings until the week before the All-Star break, or was it the week after the All-Star break? He was big on slow playing it even more than most people regarding looking at the standings.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
And the way the calendar works, too, you usually give yourself 2 months to see what you got, and then you use June or July to make adjustments, and then hopefully you're in a spot to make a run for the playoffs or solidify your playoff standing in August or September. So we're just, we're still in the beginning of the beginning. We're not even at the middle of the beginning or the end of the beginning. We're at the beginning of the beginning.
So, all right, I'll accept that. Are you familiar with this new FIFA ticket controversy? World Cup controversy? My God,
Dan, I was in the queue, when they first started selling tickets, and the numbers are being thrown out there, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for tickets. It was astronomical. I can't believe the World Cup's going to take place in the country in which I live, and I'm not going to go see a game. This is killing me. But the prices are ridiculously exorbitant. And FIFA just could establish another tier with some tickets even more expensive. And people are just throwing their hands up right now. This is a freaking money grab by Gianni Infantino and FIFA because it's in the United States, and they figure there's money in this country, and we're going to get out. We're going to get as much out of this country as possible for this month. And it's sad. It's frustrating. And the hardcore fans, who actually want to attend games, are getting priced out. It's going to end up being another example of corporate firepower with, broadcasting companies and sponsors ending up with all these tickets. And the common folk like you and me are going to be forced to sit in the bar and watch these games if you can find a bar that's willing to show a World Cup game, because there's still some anti-soccer people in this country.
Let's give some background to this story for those who have not paid attention to it. I'm looking at a story written in the Athletic throughout the fall and winter. The global soccer governing body, FIFA, sold millions of World Cup tickets in 4 categories. Category 1 is the most expensive tier, seemed to encompass all seats and sections in a stadium's lower bowl per color-coded maps. Fans paid hundreds or even thousands of dollars for these tickets, then awaited seat assignments. And so last week, FIFA delivers the assignments. It converted categorized tickets into specific rows and sections and left many buyers disappointed with seats in corners, behind goals, or farther away from the field. A week later, FIFA then begins selling seats in the first several rows of lower-level sections for even higher prices, in some cases doubling the price of what is classified as a standard Category 1 ticket. So the blowback is very vociferous at this point that there's a great deal of, hey, look, they can sell for whatever price they want if they get it. The question and the grievance seems to be deception, right, in terms of what you seem to be promising me in that Tier 1, and we come to find out, well, actually, that's not Tier 1. That's more like tier 2. We've got a tier super 1, and we're actually saving those. And if you want those, well, you can get them, but you're actually going to pay even more than you already have.
Yeah, it's utterly ridiculous, and it's sad. And, I keep thinking about, like, Brazilian soccer fans. Their life's existence is living for World Cups, all right?
Yes.
They go to the World Cup no matter where it is in the world. They go, and they take over whatever town they're training in, and they bring drums, and they dance, and they party. I saw it in 1984 in Los Gatos, Los Gatos, California, because that's where they train. And Brazilians took to the streets. They went in the liquor stores, and they would open up beers while they're in the liquor store shopping. And the owners are trying to stop them, but they were like, "There's something else," but we couldn't. So they just let them go ahead. Okay, as long as you pay for it, you could drink. Downtown Los Gatos, the cops ended up blocking off the streets so they could walk through the streets because that's what they were doing. So instead of creating traffic jams, these people are super passionate. So then they spend the next 3.5 years saving up for the next World Cup, and then they go to the final World Cup 4 years later. Now with these prices, they're probably getting sticker shock about flying to the United States, hotels in the United States, transportation costs in the United States, and finally tickets on top of all that. It's just going to be just the playground of the rich and famous, man. It's really going to be disappointing.
The new so-called front category 1 had not been previously advertised or mentioned. The normal category 1 had been sold as the top tier, with prices now ranging from $10,990 for the World Cup final to $450 for some group stage names. The maps, or games, I should say, the maps shown to buyers suggested these tickets could yield seats anywhere in any 100-level section or at most stadiums in mid-level sections with good views. And obviously, people are saying what you are delivering is very, very different from that. Is there any recourse, though? I mean, who can check FIFA here? I mean, is there anything that can change? Or are they even acknowledging? I think so far they're acknowledging nothing, correct? They're not even responding to reporters following the story.
The other thing, but Gianni Infantino, he's bought Donald Trump. He gave him an award. He created the FIFA Peace Prize and gave it to the president. He's been like buddies with Trump as close as possible the last 3 or 4 years here. So Trump's going to let him do what the hell he wants, man. So the racket's set up. It is. It's in place. And, we're just a bunch of ping pong balls getting knocked around in a box on this one.
This is sad because you're a soccer ambassador. This is not how to celebrate this world-class event, right? This puts people in a bad mood before they've even seen a single game or even considered seeing a single game.
Yeah, the fun about this is looking at the different countries and their fans and the cultures kind of coming to the United States and kind of just getting in the middle of it all. Like I mentioned, Brazil fans. And when I worked at Kansas City Star, I did a story, trying to find World Cup fever in Kansas City. And I walked into a bar with a bunch of men in tuxedos. And a guy was getting married that afternoon. Italy was playing Ireland. And he's from Ireland, and his father and his 3 brothers have flown in from Ireland for the wedding. So they put on their tuxes, they're in the bar watching Italy and Ireland, and then they're going to the chapel to get married. I thought that was hilarious. I had a story right then and there. So you get moments like that, man. That's what the World Cup does to people.
Yeah, it's well, stay tuned. I guess there's a lot being written, but so far I've not seen any reaction. And I don't even think FIFA seems to be one of those organizations. They don't really answer reporters' calls all that much, do they? They think they're like an entity unto themselves.
No, there's been a couple groups that have been loud and proud about fighting against this, and there's been some response to FIFA, but not acceptable. And then they do something like this when they create another high-priced tier when it's going to cost $10,000 to go to the World Cup final game. I wonder how much money that game's going to gross. Good Lord.
This is from Clayton out of Rochester. The Twins were in on you. The Wild don't care about the playoff venue. Lavelle loves the Twins menu. Wolves in 5. And you're responsible for 2 of them. You're the guy who perpetuated the nonsense that the Twins were in on you, Darvish. And you're the guy who loves it.
They went to his house. They met with him in California.
That's great. So did I. But, I mean, does that mean they came close? You made it sound like they were in the mix.
California.
You made it sound like they were actually in the mix. That's enabling this ownership to make fans feel like they're more relevant than they are.
Well, I think in this current stage with the Twins, I can see how they're frustrated. Like I said, when Tom said they went after Framber Valdez, and I'm like, at this point, they want to see Framber Valdez in the Twins uniform and probably don't want to hear about you going after him.
Well,
but then if it's not reported, then someone reports it later on. You're like, how come you didn't have this? So damn if I do, damn if I don't. So I'm going to get the information I get and just try to get it out there.
Can I ask you?
You could digest it any way you want.
Can I ask you
but it happens.
Can I ask you a hockey question? You old puckhead. Who should start in goal? Game 1, Western Conference first round series, Wild at Dallas.
I would get on the Gus bus, but I'd be ready to pull the I want off at the next stop sooner than later if something goes haywire. I think because he's been kind of the number one most of the regular season, and he has overall had decent numbers. And yeah, there've been some hiccups lately. But I would go with Gus and be ready to pivot to Jesper, I'm sorry, at the first sign of trouble here. Like if game 1 ends up being a disaster, I think Walter has to be between the pipes in game 2. I mean, you gotta go with what you got at this point, and you've got Gus and you've got the youngster, and phases this late in the game, you got to go with the tandem. Maybe you could split it. Maybe you definitely commit to splitting it up at times, alternate like you did during the season. But I would start with Gus. I think he's overall he's earned it. Yeah, really should be a little nervous, a little bit. Yeah. But yesterday's game was tough to watch. Jason Robertson, man, he was like the Terminator. He had that Terminator look in his face yesterday. He was determined to lose the game. And so it's tough for Wild fans to watch when they actually had a lead late and ended up blowing it. But things can change in the postseason. I actually looked this up a week ago. Out of the 8 series in round 1 of last year's postseason, a team with home ice went 500. They won 4 and lost 4. After that first round, it was like the super majority of teams without home ice won the series. So I always thought home ice mattered more in hockey because of the strategy that's involved, because the home team gets to make the last line change. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't. And if you have home ice and you lose game 1, that's pressure. So Dallas has it, and the Wild just has to go punch them in the mouth and see what they got. This is the most complete Wild team that they've probably ever had. They've got 2 good scorers in Kaprizov and Boldy. They got secondary scoring with Johansson and Tarasenko. They could get big. Finally, we're heading to a postseason in which the Wild can actually throw some size at someone. So they got a lot of pieces in play. So if Gus could just be passable here, they can get it done and get out of the first round for the first time since 2015.
What's the Sunday column?
I wrote something in defense of Major League umpires because there have been over 350 challenges, and it's suggesting that the umpires stink. And I'm going to say no. I think it's actually showing how good they are and how hard it is, because we've had some challenges in which the umpire's been off by less than 1/10 of an inch.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean that the umpire stinks.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Yeah, I agree with you. You'll get hammered for it, but that's okay. That's probably all the more reason to do it, to write it.
Well, I tend to write stuff that makes people mad. So.
Yeah, that's for sure. We all know that. That's it. Just as long as you don't apologize for the Twins much anytime soon. That's all we ask.
I think that's kind of a misnomer as well.
You do? You think that? You think you're misunderstood?
I think I'm slightly misunderstood.
You ball guys all stick together.
I love how you just pass all with the same brush.
You think there's some distinctions I need to make?
Russo's never called a puck guy. Chris Hines never called a round hoop guy.
They're not apologists. I mean, that's the difference. It's just like we the idea continues to be, we all know there's irrational fans in every sport, right? Where literally they're not going to be happy no matter what you do. But the idea that most Twins fans, who I think actually are quite reasonable, don't have a right to feel burned right now is just preposterous to me. It's absurd to me, and I don't understand why that's difficult. You know,
I think they should be very upset with what's going on right now and how this team's been managed, especially not managed, but how they've been operated over the last 2-3 years. They have every right to be frustrated.
612 guy wants to know.
I was watching the game midweek. I heard "Sell the Team" chants.
Yeah.
In the background. That
probably won't go away for a while. 612 guy wants to know if you use Uzu for your phone service as well.
No, if it would guarantee me, like I said, I was just telling Garth, we're switching to Verizon next week, so hopefully that will clear up some of the dead spots, because I know there's dead spots in my house.
Yeah, that's got to be
my driveway and my bedroom upstairs. There's dead spots if I try to talk on the phone there.
You need one of those in-home boosters, signal boosters.
Those exist?
Yeah, they do exist. Some of them are more reliable than others, but I'm a Verizon guy too, so I think maybe that change could be key for you right there.
Yeah, we're headed back to Verizon after being part of what I consider the Walmart or cell phone providers, but I'm not going to say.
You don't want to get into that in too much detail. Garza, you were going to say?
No, I just didn't know Lavelle had such strong things
feelings
to say
about
against Walmart.
Yeah. On that note, we'll let you go. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll chat next week.
Yes, sir. Got playoff hoops and puck next week.
Finally going to get there. Thank God. Lavelle E. Neal III, kind enough to join us via the Connecticut Water Systems Hotline. Lou Ragoose with a rather troubling story he's been following. That will be at 4:15 today. We've got some A-section stuff beyond him to get to. In addition, we got Double T Trent Tucker on the NBA and the Minnesota Timberwolves. He is scheduled for 5:30 tonight on what we like to call the Friday Football Beast.